Thanks for tuning in to the Real Deal Show, brought to you by bodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards. Hey everyone, Jay Reale here with the Real Deal Show. Yet another episode from a different location this time. And I have a special friend with me, a guy I've known for probably close to 40 years. I don't know, 35 years. His name is Mike Strawley.
What's up, what's up?
Yes, and he is from my old hometown, Ocean City, Maryland. And he's rocking the e-bodyboarding hoodie, which I love.
Sponsorship.
Sponsorship. He's an honorary sponsored team rider, despite his age.
Easy now.
Which is younger than me.
Barely.
So
54 is the new 24,
oh, that's
all I can tell you.
I like that. So Mike is he still lives back in Ocean City. He sort of got back into bodyboarding recently, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
It's his fault.
It's
Again.
my fault, which I take full credit for or blame for.
Back when I was 11 years old and I was 53 years old, he got me into bodyboarding twice.
So let's go back. Let's revisit this stuff.
Okay.
So, Mike, you grew up in Cape May, New Jersey,
Yeah,
right?
I'm a Jersey boy.
Okay, so
unfortunately.
So when did you move to Ocean City, which is obviously led to us meeting?
Well, my dad bought a bar in Ocean City in 1978 called the Bearded Clam.
Shout out to the Bearded Clam.
Jay's other sponsor.
And what's the Instagram for Bearded Clam?
It's the Bearded Clam Ocean City.
Perfect.
Something like that, I don't know.
He doesn't even know.
Well, there's a couple different ones, but they keep changing.
Okay.
But we go from there. I met Jay when I was 11 years old.
Oh my God. Really?
11 and 12, yeah. At the beach stand at the inlet.
Okay.
And him and Billy Wilkins and Mark Buckwheat Thomas and Glenn Brown would all make fun of me because I was from Jersey, and they would drop in on me and do all this stuff. And then
Not me. I didn't
Yeah.
make fun of you.
it happened.
Now, I had a girlfriend at the time. She ran the beach stand down at the inlet.
Yes.
Is that where we met? Is
Yes,
that how we met?
100%.
Because you lived down at that end of town.
I lived on Wycomico Street, right on the same street as the pier. So
Right. And
so
that's
I edged down to the inlet because you guys were ripping, and I didn't want to be that guy. But on my Maury Boogie red edge, I hadn't got the Mach 77 yet that they all had, so they were ripping it up with fins on the bottom. No,
right.
Don't forget about the fins on the bottom.
The fins. Now, how did you get into bodyboarding?
My mother said I started going towards the water at 6 months old and never stopped. And we moved to Ocean City. That's what I saw, and that's what I wanted to do. And I saw guys that ripped. They were better than me, and I wanted to be like them. Always wanted to be like this guy. He would knock on my windows at 5 o'clock in the morning when I slept on the front porch of my house. Surf's up, let's go. And we just go out.
We go out to the inlet, which is a good little right-hander down there. Sometimes lefts down the beach a little bit
right
too.
in front of the roller coaster.
And you live, you could walk there from where you lived. And the bar, which is still in your family, obviously, you're still running. The Bearded Clam is right down there as well.
Yep, walking distance.
So we would go out to the inlet. We'd bodyboard out there. And the cool thing was, this is, going way back, we're talking early 80s, there was effectively a black ball in place. It wasn't called a black ball back then, but in Maryland, they didn't call it that. But
the lifeguards came on, surfers were out of the water.
They kicked the surfers out at like 9 or 10.
10
o'clock. And then it was only us. It was only the bodyboarders. So sometimes we would just wait until 10 o'clock, because why battle the surfers early on when we just wait till 10 and
wait for that whistle to blow and be like, let's go.
And they hated us for it, right?
They all dropped in on us when we were out there anyway, so they get what they deserve on that one.
So we used to hang out down there, a group of us, which was yourself, our friend Buckwheat, who I will have on a future Real Deal show.
His brother.
And his brother Scott. And then Glenn Brown. I'm just dropping some names from
Billy
way
Wilkins.
back in the day. Glenn, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Bill Wilkins, Matt Engel, Matt Whaley.
Yep. All the boys.
There was a crew of bodyboarders down there. We had a great crew, and we used to go out. We'd ride waves all day until most of us had jobs.
Yep.
We had to work at some point
Go to
during
work
the
with
day.
sand in my feet and wet-headed every day.
That was the way to do it. But at some point you decided to compete, right? So
Yep.
what got you into that? It was just the natural progression.
I'm very competitive in everything I do, whether it's like chess, checkers, anything.
Still to this day,
Yep.
true.
Got to be, if you ain't first, you're last. But my competitive spirit got me going. I was in the age group below Jay.
That's right.
So I had a chance to win.
Okay, and how did it go for you competing?
Pretty well for amateur stuff. I was Maryland State champion twice. Finished second in the Maury Boogie Nationals behind Seamus Mercado. Last wave got me.
Seamus.
Won the U.S. Nationals in Hawaii, and that was the year they had no bodyboarding on the U.S. team, so I got nothing for that. Competed in the pipe contest twice. Did not do well. Almost died caddying
You
for
were my
you.
board caddy.
Biggest waves I've ever seen at pipe. Big closeouts. And Jay was just getting pounded.
Yes.
And I actually got one of the first guys, I think, in the contest to ride the safety sled back in.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell my side of that story. So, Mike and I are friends from way back in the day, and at that point, I think you were going to college in Hawaii.
Yeah,
which
I was at Chaminade, yeah.
And we'll get to that in a minute. But so board caddies, this is back in the day. This was at the very beginning of when they had safety jet skis out there. It was really just so the lifeguard could be
Mark
in the
Cunningham
water.
was out there.
Mark Cunningham, Terry Ahui, the Hawaiian Water Patrol. It was basically a small business started by the Hui Surf Club. And so in a lot of contests, you would want to have a board caddy, which is somebody to take a spare board out for you in case your leash broke or your board snapped in half during the middle of your heat. Because if that happened and you didn't have a spare board really close by, basically you ran out of time going all the way to the beach.
Especially
get a
big
board
pipe.
back out. Big pipe, especially.
It was like 12 feet that day.
It was a big day pipe, and Mike is in the channel on my spare board, and I remember this vividly, Mike.
I'm sure you do. I remember all of it.
I think what happened is I caught a wave, and I didn't make it out of the barrel, and I popped up, and the next wave was right on my head, and I look over at Mike in the channel, and he's looking at me, and his eyes are bulging out of his head because he knew what was about to happen. I was about to get smashed, and he was going to have to give up the spare board to me and then figure out how to get to the beach on a big day of pipe.
Scariest day of my life.
And that's
much.
exactly what happened.
Yep.
My leash snapped. I swam over to Mike. He gave me the board. I don't know what happened from there. You got to ride in?
I got to ride in. It was like the first time they had it. Like I was swimming against the current, and they came and put me in, and then I had to go paddle back out through gums.
Yes.
Which was like 12-foot face shore break with this much water underneath it, trying to duck dive that, get back out of there. And by chance, he advanced twice.
Oh, man.
Twice. So I had to paddle out 3 times in the scariest ways of my life. Sit in the channel, and when Kaino McGee was only 17, he was caddying for Mike Stewart, so Kaino couldn't compete.
Oh my God.
So he was calming me down from not having like near-death experience. And Mark Cunningham was calling out the sets. And then all of a sudden, you hear Kaino go, "Oh, sugar honey iced tea."
Thank you. This is a family show.
And then we started stroking for the horizon. And like paddling up waves higher than like 2-story buildings, up and falling down just in the channel. And then Jay kept going, competing, and kept going out. And then his last heat, he didn't advance. I don't know why. I guess because it was massive. But third reef broke. I saw on the horizon, and I'm like, oh boy. So his heat ended. I darted to the inside, caught like a awesome pipe wave, got barreled, came out. Got onto the beach, and from sunset to Log Cabins, it was completely closed out, the whole beach, and I was like, I could have just died.
But you lived to tell, and look, all these years later, you have this story to tell.
Oh, I remember that like it was yesterday.
The question is, did I reward you for your troubles? I don't think I did.
I got a sweatshirt today.
I got
a sweatshirt today.
I finally paid him back.
I get a guest appearance on the Real Deal show, which is kind of a dream of mine anyway, being an East Coast kid with my childhood hero.
Oh, come on, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike.
And let me go to the Texas Tube Tour, which, if you haven't already signed up
you
for
gotta
it,
get on
you
it.
need to go because it is awesome.
So, yes, Mike was a guest on the Texas Tube Tour. Go to the bottom of the website, click on Bodyboarding Travel. All the details are there. We have 2 trips coming up in 2022 to Texas to the BSR Wave Pool. So check that out. But let's get back to your situation here. So, Mike, we were bodyboarding in Ocean City.
Every day.
I then moved to California to pursue my pro bodyboarding career.
Yep.
And you were off to college. How did you choose Chaminade in Hawaii as your school?
Well, being a Catholic school boy, got good grades, applied to all the universities that had waves. So I went Pepperdine,
Yes.
which
Pepperdine,
Blacks Beach,
Malibu, yeah.
University of Hawaii, Chaminade, and a few others. And Chaminade is a Maronite university, which is a Christian university, so it kind of followed my Catholic school upbringing.
Yep.
And they accepted me, and I was like, bang.
You're straight into it.
Yep.
You're like, man, yep, I'm going
Sold.
to Hawaii. Wow. Now, what did you study at Chaminade?
I studied everything.
Okay, so you didn't have a major
No,
yet,
it was
undeclared.
more like liberal studies, where I studied
it.
everything from like criminal justice, education, anthropology. I was in a play. I did.
What?
Yeah.
You were in a play,
was-
like a drama
Yep.
play?
It was called Reserve 2 for Murder.
What were you?
I was the dead guy. I didn't have a lot of.
That's an easy part. to
I didn't
play.
have a lot of lines, but I was in a lot of scenes.
Okay, as a dead guy.
Yeah. I moved
That's
around
good.
the theater and snuck up by people, and they were like, "He's right here!" Boom, and I would fall out of a chair.
Did you have lines?
No lines.
Okay, no lines, easy. Okay,
No.
so it's just blocking. You had
Yep.
to learn the blocking.
I just had to be sneaky like a ninja and sit in open seats that people didn't recognize me.
So you were at college in Hawaii, and you had one of your roommates was one of the top young Hawaiian bodyboarders at the time, Sean Paulson. How
Yes.
did you hook up with Sean Paulson as a roommate?
I met him in California at the Mori Boogie Nationals,
Okay.
and I had a car, and he didn't, and he lived near Pearl City, so I'd pick him up every morning in my yellow Subaru with the air conditioning turned on 900, and we'd hit either the East Shore or the North Shore. If the North Shore was super packed, we wanted to get waves, so we would go surf on the East Side, which had size, but not a lot of people because it's a 20-minute paddle out.
Right.
But there's 5 people out there, and instead of your 9-hour sessions at Pipe,
Yeah.
catching 3
Catching
waves
3
to get
waves. That's true.
to get the ad for Mori Boogie or for
Oh, man.
any of your sponsors that you needed. So I had a car, Sean didn't. He had a full race Toyota at one time, but it was kind of broken down a lot of the time. So
Yep.
I would just pick him up and be dark, and my car would be freezing so I could stay awake.
Okay, so he wasn't your roommate.
He started out not as my roommate, but then he ended up.
Eventually
we all
you
lived
moved in.
together. We lived right by Waimea.
Oh, yeah.
We lived at
yeah.
Rocky Point.
Yep.
We lived in town in Waikiki, all over the
You
place.
bounced around over there.
Yeah.
And you were there at Chaminade 4 years? 3 years?
5 years.
5 years.
A little extra, you got to go
Yes.
back, make sure you get everything.
Take your time if
Yeah.
you're in Hawaii. Why be in a hurry to finish college?
There's no
when you're
rush.
Over there?
No rush.
So you went to college. You spent a lot of time in the water in Hawaii. You got
Yes.
to know sort of the glitterati of the sport. You became good friends with Kainoa McGee as well.
Yeah, I lived
right?
with him for a while.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, where? In town?
Yeah,
His
in town
place in
in-
St. Louis Heights?
Yep, we lived up there.
Okay. And
In
you
the-
still keep in touch with Kainoa?
A little bit, not as much. He's doing all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, but just on through social media, but not through. I'm trying to get to Hawaii, so he's like, when you
Yes.
come, come find me. But
For sure. Yeah,
So-
he's that's the cool thing about, all these people that we met back in
Keith
those
and
days. We all keep
Dean.
in touch
Yeah.
online, and when you see them again after a long absence, it's like you never left, right?
Yeah.
It's you just pick up
best
where you
friends,
left
like
off.
from Jump Street, like
Yeah, that's the cool thing about this sport is, you develop these deep friendships early on, and they just last forever. I'm the same with Keith Sasaki,
Yep.
who was my roommate for many years, and Keith and I go back 40 years, and we won't see each other for a long time, and then boom, we see each other. It's like, hey, we were just together the day before,
it never stopped. Yep,
which is one of the cool things about it.
100%.
So 5 years at Chaminade. Then what? Then what happened in the life of Mike Strawley?
Then I had to go to work. My dad owned the bar. I had a some choices where I could be a pro bodyboarder and not make any money, or go back to the family business where I could,
set yourself up for the future.
Yeah, because back then bodyboarding, like 3 people got paid.
Yep.
Mike, Ben, and Keith.
Yep.
And then Jay worked really hard, but he was making his money and announcing when those guys were beating him in the contest. So
yep. I was double dipping.
Yep. Well, that's the way. You've always been a hustler, so I don't.
So you hustled. You went back to Maryland and you
Yep.
started working at the bar. What
Yep.
were you doing initially there?
Initially, I just washed glasses.
Okay.
Just bar back, bartend, boom, 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 like just.
Start at the bottom,
And then.
so to speak.
Yep. Well, I was the everything guy. Like if something was broken, I had to fix it. If somebody threw up in the bathroom, guess who got to clean it up?
Wow.
Take out the trash, do all that kind of stuff. But.
And that was like probably early 90s.
Yep.
And then
I was 19 though, so however long ago that was.
Okay. and I know you've been married 17 years
I think
now.
16, but
16 years, and right now we're at the beginning of 2022 as
Yep.
we record this. So at some point in there, you met Holly, your
That's
wife,
my baby girl.
and you guys got married, and you had two
got
kids.
two kids.
You want to talk about your kids?
Jameson and Jillian. They're the
Okay.
2 smartest people I know right now. Their math homework makes my head spin, so I don't know. My son's on the Junior National Honor Society. My daughter's a star student.
Wow.
So they're taking they got their brains from, I'm going to say their mother, but we really know it's from me. And
Yes.
my sister thinks that it's her, but I got blessed with some really.
Sister's in the background. You can't see her, but she's back
Yeah,
there.
she's
Trust
there.
me.
I got 2 wonderful kids that are good spirited and fun loving, and
What do they do sports-wise? Are they into any sports?
Right now,
bodyboarding?
not as
No?
much. I'm trying, but
Yeah.
they love the water,
Yep.
but they just rather just play in the water.
Sure.
But Jameson's on the swim team, so he's got a competition on Saturday he's doing freestyle, breaststroke, and butterfly, which
Wow.
I don't know how he does butterfly. That's crazy. And Jillian's a girls lacrosse superstar,
Okay.
so she's found her way and give her a weapon, and she's ready to go.
So they got the athletic
Yeah.
genetics going on there.
They're just having fun with sports instead of being ultra competitive like their dad.
Yeah. So let's circle back to bodyboarding. So
Okay.
you kind of got out of it for a long time. What happened?
I just worked a lot
Yep.
and just kind of got lazy.
Okay.
Got
But now, look, he says lazy, but if you follow Mike on Instagram, what's your Instagram, by the way, Mike?
Killa 99.
So KILLA 99 on Instagram. This guy is anything but lazy. He's a gym rat. This
That's
guy is
true.
a friggin' iron lord. He's
Ooh.
doing, I don't know, what do you call it? Clean and jerk,
Clean
snatch,
jerk
I
and
don't know.
snatches, all the Olympic lifts.
He's doing lifting like you wouldn't believe. This dude is ripped. So
I'm keeping it covered up for the ladies.
I don't buy the
Wow.
lazy, but
Just got
you
out of touch with the water.
got out of touch with the water, and you've been lifting and doing gym stuff.
Yeah.
Like CrossFit type stuff?
Pretty much, yeah. Just high intensity interval training and Olympic lifts and just
So
challenging stuff that young kids do that I have to prove to myself that I can do it just as good as them.
And you compete too. You've done Spartan races,
Yep.
you've done fitness competitions
Yep.
and stuff, right?
Did fairly well. Nothing spectacular, not
Okay.
world beaters, but
And you go to a regular gym over there? Are you
yeah, I
doing
coach
classes, coaching?
I coach classes and I participate and just go pretty much every day.
Okay, so the fitness is there.
Yeah.
Dude, you got all the elements in place, but you just kind of moved away from bodyboarding just because life got in the way,
Yep.
your kids, your job, your workouts and
Yep.
stuff, and there just wasn't time for bodyboarding at that
Or
point.
so I thought.
But sometime recently, you decided to come back
Yeah.
to bodyboarding. What happened?
Again, it's your fault.
Tell me about that.
I was looking on Instagram and it's talking about this showing videos of the Texas Tube Tour, and I saw Bobby Hovey
Yes.
from last year when he went. Right, I'm like, why is he there and I am not?
That's one of our old buddies from Virginia Beach. Shout out to you, Bob.
So
Hovey.
immediately I messaged Jay like, what is this all about and what's going on? So he told me about it. He goes, there's one spot left.
Yep. 3
people want it, and I said, here's my credit card number. Went to BSR, Had a blast.
Yep, you did get the last spot too.
Yeah.
Like two other people 12 hours later wanted to book.
Yeah.
You got the last spot. So you went over there. Tell us about so that was kind of your reemergence in the bodyboarding.
100%.
That trip.
Yes.
So tell me about the trip. Like, what did you expect before you went? Did you think, this will be kind of fun, but it's a man-made wave. How good could it be?
I had no idea what this. I just saw the footage.
Yep.
The barrels, the airs. I was like, I'm gonna boost these big, massive airs, get barreled, and I'm like, when I got there, it's a little tougher than it looks. You had to be in the right spot, which I wasn't a few times. I went right when you're supposed to go left.
You weren't the only one.
By the way. I got behind the peak a couple times on the double barrel wave, but then I found the perfect wave for me, which was the Waco wedge.
Yep.
And the last meet, myself and Jordan Stollard and Brian Wise, I think, stayed on that the last day. Brian Press, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, Brian. By the way, where's my footage? I just got a bunch of really good barrels, like 20 feet back, came out over and over. I was like thinking I could go around the barrel and boost big rolls, and I'm like, I just want to get barreled.
Yep.
Over and over and over again. So
and you did.
Yeah. I got some great pits, some great footage from Jordan Stollard that set me up with those that I just keep reposting because it brings back great memories.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Jay re-released this
entries.
year's, I was like, boom,
You were the first one.
Was I?
Yeah, you were the first one.
Well, I was last year and first this
you
year.
were the first, yeah. So you got in early.
I was making sure I had to get back to that because
Mike will be on our October edition for sure. So so you went there and you met a bunch of people that are like-minded. To me, that's one of the cool things about that trip is everyone we're all there because we love bodyboarding, we love riding waves, and it's mostly older riders. Not to say we didn't have some youngsters.
The young boys
there
were
definitely
boosting.
Some rippers younger, but we had riders. I think I was the oldest. I'm almost 58 now, but those
you didn't look like it out there doing backflips and ARSs right in 6 inches of water.
Yeah, a little sketchy with the landings there. It's shallow, but yeah, it was so cool to see you riding, barrels again like we did for 35 years ago.
It reminds me, that wave reminds me of Half Point in Hawaii at Sandy Beach. So it's just like turn right in, boom, get barreled big time.
Yeah. Now,
over and over again. So it was like I didn't forget what to do.
It's like riding a bike. It's a cliche, but it's really true. You hop on the bodyboard after all these years, and it just comes right back to you. And the funny thing is, Mike. We mentioned Kainoa earlier. You and him have a lot of parallels in that physically. When you were younger, you were super skinny and lanky and small. Yep. And now you're like this muscle-bound beast. I don't want to call you a beast, but kind of a beast. And Kainoa's the same, man. He was this skinny little kid, and then he became this, big, bulky, ripped guy who's now, of course, a lifeguard in Hawaii. So
and that protects all the boys out there. So
he does. Kainoa's always looking out.
The ultimate waterman right there.
Super loyal guy to his old friends, and.
The guy can ride anything, anywhere. Big pipe, put him on a bodyboard, surfboard, paddleboard, ride the jet ski, foil. You could ride a table like Kelly did back in the day.
Yeah, that's right. He did. Kelly Slater did ride a table.
Yeah.
There's footage on YouTube somewhere of that.
I'm pretty sure Kainoa, if he had one that was bulky enough, he could ride that, but he could go out and rip anywhere, anytime.
Yes.
And he could have won the pipe contest when he was 16 or 17, but he wasn't allowed in back then. So
he came really close a few times.
He was Stewart's caddy, so he had the best knowledge between Mike Stewart and Mark Cunningham together, talking to him, priming him up, made him, a pipeline legend and a complete island legend, really, on Oahu, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, in the days of the pipeline event, when Kainoa was at his peak and his prime, he was the favorite amongst the crowd. Like more people wanted him to win. not just the locals. Everyone
Right.
wanted Kainoa to win because he was committed to that spot.
He charged
and
it
he
big
ripped
time.
it and charged it prone and drop knee, and he came so close so many times to winning the event, and everyone was pulling for
Yep.
him. He never quite got there, but I mean, it's just a contest, right?
Right.
You could just say that because in the scheme of things, how you surf a place on a day-to-day basis is really how you get judged.
He kinda
not
rolls
in that
pipe.
1 heat or 2 heats. Yeah, he did, and still rips
Yep,
out there.
100%.
Along with Mike Stewart, who's now 58 and still ripping.
Best
and charging.
ever, by the way. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah, no, jeez. I mean,
All these young guys doing backflips and this and that. Mike's still the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's smooth
And-
butter, man.
One of the things that saved me in Hawaii was I was blonde like Mike Stewart. My name was Mike. I wore the gotcha shorts, had the Mach
That's
77.
true, that's
So people
true.
were like, "What's up, Mike?" And I'd
You
be like,
did get
"Hey."
mistaken for Mike Stewart.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So it saved me a lot
That's
of beatings
funny.
and it got me a few waves. So it was thanks again for that, Mike.
I was never
Love you,
mistaken
buddy.
for anyone, so that's cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are in 2022. You've gotten back into the sport. Do you have any, any goals in terms of like going on maybe a trip somewhere? Obviously, you're going to BSR again in October. Do you want to go back to the North Shore? What are you thinking?
I'm trying to go to Hawaii next year.
Okay.
2023, I guess. Get a big family trip because it's not too cheap to fly to Hawaii anymore and spend some
No.
time. So
Yeah.
plus my mom lives on Maui.
Okay.
And I want to see all of, my North Shore boys and my Sandy Beach boys. So
Yep.
we're working on that. The wife's in charge of all planning. She is like the cruise director. She'll make it happen. So
Okay.
hopefully by next winter, I'll be in Hawaii trying to go charge pipe. Definitely charging Sandies because that's my favorite wave in the world. And maybe a couple secret spots that I didn't know about.
So I want to suggest something. There's the bodyboard event at Pipeline every year. Obviously, there was a hiatus during COVID.
Right.
But Mike Stewart basically organizes that event. It's usually the end of February to the beginning of March. What's the odds of you timing your trip for that window? Because then you can see everyone in one zone.
That would be pretty cool to have
Yeah.
Mike, get up with me, man. Give me a slot. I'm ready.
He's ready to bring it, man. He's wanting to recapture the.
I'm still
glory
waiting
of
for
his
my
youth.
F7. It's ordered through eBodyboarding right now.
Thank you. So he's supporting. He's
It's
definitely supporting.
I'm using the gyro. I got the MS Vipers. So how about a spot in your contest, Mike? What do you got, buddy?
He's still there. Although you don't look like Mike Stewart now.
Mm-hmm.
He's bald. You have a mohawk. So the similarity is
I know.
disappearing.
So I
there.
might just be get beat up
You
by
have
the
to just
Hawaiians
shave your
again.
head and look
Might get
bald.
beat up by the Hawaiians because I don't look like Mike Stewart anymore.
Kainoa will protect you.
Yeah, there you
For
go.
sure.
Kainoa, Dean, all the brothers out there, they'll watch out for the skinny Holly boy from back in the day.
Now, back in the day, we were both sponsored by Bombers Surf Shop.
Yes, I have a bomber shirt. I was going to wear it today, but I didn't know we were doing this.
That was my first sponsor in 1980, and Mike followed not too long after that. So a huge shout out to Jack Crosby.
Love you, Jack.
I don't know if you'll watch this, Jack. I'll drop a link on your Facebook so you can watch. But man, you set us up for the future for what we do now, and we owe you a lot, man. A lot of
100%.
gratitude headed your way.
He put a lot of people in the right places
Oh,
to
for
succeed.
sure.
He made sure we had boards and wax and leashes.
And a place to hang out.
Right.
But the only thing we had to do in return was make a daily run either to Anthony's or Alaska Stand to get him
Cheeseburgers or
cheeseburger
roast
or
beef
cheesesteak.
sandwiches.
That was the payment for
Yep.
hanging out and being sponsored by Bomber Surf Shop on
Yep.
8th Street in Ocean City. Jack shut it down many years ago, but he and his wife Gail still keep the Bombers love
It's
alive.
Bombers for life.
Oh, for sure, man.
If you're on Team Bombers back then, you're still on Team Bombers now.
Totally.
So-
We love it, man. So any last words, Mike, that you want to say before we sign off? Any shout outs, family, friends, whatever?
I already
Here's
mentioned
your
my
chance.
wife and kids.
Yep.
Shout out to my sister for meeting me out in California. We didn't even mention that I actually came to visit you to catch some
Oh,
barrels.
man.
But right now we got the king tides, which are unfortunate, but I think tomorrow the swell is going to be up.
We'll be
So I think I'm going to be in La Jolla Reefs, hopefully catching some barrels. Try to get Jay to meet me. I don't know. And peace out.
All right.
Shakas and love to my kids.
So that's Mike Strawley, folks, friend from the past. Loved catching up with you and these old memories, man. Some of this stuff I forgot, so it's super cool.
It happens with age.
Yeah.
I'm just honored to be a part of the Real Deal show. I watch every issue. Now I get to be on one. I'm very excited.
On. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Real Deal Show. If you're watching on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications anytime we launch new Real Deal shows and other videos, how-tos and so forth. And we loved catching up with Mike today. If you're listening on the podcast, hope you enjoyed the listen. And folks, you know how I finish these every time. We will see you in the surf.